Now to the crisis in the Middle East. Tomorrow marks 1 year since the October 7th terror attacks on Israel. Hamas attacks claimed 1,200 lives, and the terror group took more than 250 people hostage.
Those attacks launched a brutal war where just this morning Hamas-run media says 25 people were killed in an airstrike on a mosque. Israeli military officials say they were simply targeting a Hamas command center set up in that mosque.
Yeah, we have team coverage for you live this morning. Crystal Cranmore is live in Central Park where there's a rally being held today. But first, let's go live to Josh Einiger, who's live in Tel Aviv ahead of this somber anniversary. Josh.
Yeah, Pedro, Michelle, it's really numbing to think that of all the things you just talked about, the Gaza situation, the Lebanon situation with Hezbollah, of course, this question of war with Iran, all of it started on October 7th. And we are here because tomorrow this beleaguered country will mark 1 year since the world changed. In the place now and forever known as Hostage Square, commemorations for the anniversary of October 7th are taking on an especially muted tone, with large gatherings across Israel curtailed under the threat of attack from Iran. But a full year after the Hamas massacre, after 1,200 people were slaughtered, 100 are still in captivity in Gaza, 7 of them American.
On one hand, it's like a year, but it's more like a Groundhog Day that you wake up each day and it's a continuous day over and over and over again.
Ruby Hen's son Itai among them. The IDF believes the 19-year-old dual national, a soldier on the border, was killed when Hamas fighters poured across, his body carried back to Gaza. Today, Itai's dad and other families met with U.S. Ambassador Jack Lew with a crucial message.
At some point, you need to think of maybe different ways to get to the objective of all the hostages, but specifically the U.S. hostages. That this administration has an obligation to get them out, and we urge the administration to think of everything possible to get them out.
But it's no easy task as the region inches more and more down the path to all-out war. Overnight, Israel pummeled Beirut's southern suburbs in its ongoing campaign to destroy Hezbollah. And the Middle East is bracing for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's response to Tuesday's onslaught of Iranian ballistic missiles fired into Israel's densely populated center. And the world is holding its breath, of course, to find out what Benjamin Netanyahu and his war cabinet have in store for Iran. Will they go after the nukes? Will they go after the oil? Or will they pick something that's a little bit less inflammatory that would perhaps attract less of a severe counterattack? But since no one really knows, so many Israelis are staying close to home. It's a Sunday afternoon here in Tel Aviv right now. The streets should be a lot busier than they are. People staying close as they wait to see what happens next. We're live in Tel Aviv. Josh Einiger, Channel 7, Eyewitness News. Michelle, Pedro?
And Josh, you mentioned continuing calls for a ceasefire here. Where do negotiations stand right now? Because we know that there's right now a war on multiple fronts.
There's multiple fronts, and it's stuck on basically all of these fronts, Pedro. In the north, with respect to Hezbollah in Lebanon, there's been a deal on the table for several months that would move Hezbollah north of the Litani River, just north enough so that they can't fire rockets into northern Israel, and 60,000 people who've been displaced from their homes can go back home. But that has been stalled. Of course, the negotiations over a ceasefire and hostage release from Gaza have been stalled for months, and as things heat up with Iran, it seems unlikely any of this will make much progress as the world waits to see what happens.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for reporting live right now from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Josh.